So this is my living room as it is right now, and as you can see, it's pretty boring carpet. It's nice. I like having the big windows, but the dark carpet really absorbs a lot of light, and that kind of makes it dull. And what I'm going to try to do is put in some wood flooring. So what I've done already is put down a little bit of that material. You can see it here. And it's this product called Traffic Master. It's made by Pergo. I'm using Hanover oak. What I'm going to try to do is install that throughout and see if that makes for a more interesting, better surface to complement the rest of my place. And what I'm hoping is to get this whole area redone with simple laminate flooring. Now, one of the things that's interesting is that because I'm renting this place, I can't actually glue the stuff down, but I'm just going to put it down like a carpet, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm making some good progress now. Turns out I had a really dull blade before, but now things are going well. I'm going to do some close-ups here to look at the floor. It's nice and shiny, so I'd hoped, but you know, still got a long way to go. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I'm actually laying down the pieces, and then about how I'm cutting the pieces as well. Okay, so to take a look at what's going on here. So we've got this part that's finished. You can see it's pretty seamless looking through here. The seams are pretty visible because the pieces grab together and lock. So here's a new piece I've got here, and the trick about doing this in a small area, the tools kind of say differently, but I find that it works best if you actually put together an entire row going all the way across and then wedge the whole thing into place. Otherwise it gets very difficult to actually get the pieces to line in and lock. Perhaps there are other tools you can use to make that easier, but I find that if you're doing it manually, then this makes it pretty easy. So what I'm doing is I'm starting at this edge, I'm laying the pieces down, I've got 3 and a little bit going across. And when I get to the end, I'll have some leftover space, and what I'll do with the leftover space is I'll cut a piece, and then I'll take the offset from that, and then start that again on the next row. And what that does, it means that the seams won't line up exactly, and the nice part about that is that you get the stagger pattern, and it gets kind of a natural look instead of getting these big long seams that are running down the entire length of the room. Okay, now let's get down to the cutting aspect. So cutting is going to be the most dangerous part of this whole exercise, where you need to be the most careful, both because of the tools and the material and all kinds of other things that could happen. So please do be careful, and I'll try to give you some guidance on the best way to go about this kind of material. So the material for this kind of flooring is quite thin, so you'd think that it doesn't present things very much of a challenge. But the thing to keep in mind is that even though it's thin, there is adhesive involved because it's a laminate, and as a result, it can get a lot of gum on the blade. So I had a problem earlier with a blade that had just gotten too much gum on it. It wasn't working properly. I think it had also become dull. A new blade will help a lot. If you find the blade is catching or turning or bending, replace the blade. It's worth $20 to avoid getting injured. You're going to spend a lot more than that on the material anyway. So, given that, let's first start with clamping the material down. So what you want to do is get 2 tables, doesn't really matter what type they are, but get them at the same height and leave a little gap in the middle where you're going to be sawing. So in this case, I've got the line that I want to cut down. I've marked that with a pencil, and I've used a 45-degree triangle straight edge to help me get that true with respect to the side of the piece. I'm going to put that center line right in between this gap, and then I've got these great Irwin quick grip clamps that I found very useful. Basically the way they work is that you just pull this handle and they ratchet up, and it's very fast. That way you can just hold down the outer handle and release, and then you tighten up by squeezing here, and then I do the same with the other side. Now I've got a clamp. Now it's really important to clamp both sides of the material unless you just have a tiny bit going out, because as you cut, The seam's going to be opening up, and the material will sag down. And if it's not supported, if it's not on both sides, you will really see the material start to sag. It could put pressure on the blade. It could damage it in other ways. So you really want to be careful. For my particular cutting, I'm using this Makita 3 3/8 inch circular saw. It's quite powerful and small. It's about $150 on Amazon. The model is the Makita 5090D. It's an iCAD battery, which is the cheaper model, not the lithium-ion, which makes it not quite as powerful. The charge doesn't last as well. The battery has memory, those kinds of issues, but it costs about half the price of the lithium-ion version. It can cut at various bevels. I'm going to just use it in a straight cut here. There's a safety mechanism on the trigger, so that makes it kind of nice to use. And if you use it properly and put a hand on the motor housing and a hand on the handle like you're supposed to, there's no way your fingers can get caught in the blade. And always kind of push away from you with the cut, and hold both hands on the device, and you should have no problem. So I'm going to show an example of just cutting through this material for a piece, and you'll see how that works. Okay, here we go. And remember not to let go of the device until the blade is completely stopped turning. Okay, so now we've got, brush some of this dust off. We'll do a lot of vacuuming here later. And you just hit the releases on the clamps. And we've got our finished plank ready to put back into the sequence. So let's go back to that. Okay. Now that we've got that cut piece, I'm going to put it onto the end of this row to complete this. And once we do that, I'm going to wedge this whole piece into the grid. So let's first line this up very carefully. Okay. Now this part's a bit of a tricky process. You've just got to get the whole thing in at once. And so what we do is we're going to lift this whole guy at an angle and slowly kind of push it in various places. So we'll start in the middle. You kind of start wherever you start getting traction. So let me try a little bit here at this end. Okay. A little bit of traction there. And you can feel the various parts kind of getting closer as you push, and sometimes you have to go back and forth a few times. That's okay. Just have to be patient. Lift it and get it into the wedge. Lift it, get it into the wedge, and just keep going back. Got that head snapped in now. This part's snapped in now. This part's good. And then start slowly easing it down. And the great thing about this particular brand that I really like is that you actually, as you put pressure from above, that actually tightens the pieces together. So as you actually let go and walk on the edge like this, it'll actually grip the pieces more closely together, and the seam will start to go away. Now I can't really see the seam here anymore. So there's one last step you may have been wondering about. I know I certainly was, which is how to actually do the edging. So how we get from the floor over here down to the carpet and make that look decent. Well, as you can see, I've gotten a piece of edging material here, and this is this company called Simple Solutions. They sell this stuff at Home Depot. It's called a 4-in-1 thing, and it's relatively complicated. It's got a bunch of pieces in it, and basically what they want you to do is take some metal track and, screw it to the ground and then do all this stuff with it. But since this is a rental, of course, I can't be screwing things into the ground, and so I had to find a different way to get this to work. So I will show you basically what I did. It's fairly simple. Essentially, I've just got screws going along the surface of this guy. I'm going to add some more screws to actually screw this down to the wood. Right now it's a separate layer, so I can take it off. You can see that the underside looks like this. Very exciting. But I will show you a close-up what that looks like. So here's a closer look at what's actually happening with that molding. I've got a smaller piece of molding here, and what you can see right here is the screw that I've put in. And notice that it's flush below the surface of the molding. And the reason for that is I drilled a pilot hole first, and then I made a very small, very shallow countersink, essentially, with a larger drill bit, so that the screw head could actually sink into the wood and wouldn't get caught in socks and stuff like that. Now, in terms of the construction of this piece, you can get a closer look here. I can pull these apart a little bit, and you'll see that, in fact, these are two separate pieces, and they just slide up against each other, and they create what looks like almost a smooth edge here. And that's the smooth edge that we get when we actually fix these pieces together with these screws. So I put in a screw every 12 inches. I think that's going to be enough to keep it looking good. You can put one in more often if you want to. They're not super visible. And you can also use the same kind of strategy to hold it to the edge of the material. So I wanted to give you a final tour of what the floor looked like before I actually put in the new love seat. And I'm very happy with the way this has come out. It's a little hard to get a full sense of what it's like, but as you can see, it's very shiny. I like that. Reflects a lot of light. And if I step further back, you'll see that really it's kind of now divided the room into this separate section where I've got the kind of living area with the computers and stuff, and there's still a mess there. But as you move over here, you've got the kind of lounge living area. And, you know, it's a nice little sanctuary space with this wood floor. And I think that's going to work out really well. It feels nice, sounds nice, with the carpet padding it underneath. I've got the nice edge down here at the bottom. I'm pretty happy with how this worked out. So that's pretty much it. That's my story. That's what it takes to put a laminate floor onto on top of carpet for a rental apartment. And notice I haven't done any damage to the unit at all because I haven't had to screw anything into the carpet and I haven't had to glue anything to the carpet. It's just the weight of the material and the weight of the furniture that holds things in place. And so it's really non-damaging. And in fact, in some ways, I've actually protected the carpet underneath by covering it up with this material, so that part of the carpet will stay very nice. Total cost of materials was less than $300. I got 9 packs of the laminate flooring. That was at $25 a piece. That's $225. 2 pieces of edging at about $25 a piece, so that was $975. And then if you throw in the cost of the blade, well, it's about $300. So it's really quite economical, and that was to cover about a 200 square foot area, 160 to 200 square feet. It didn't really take very long to do. It was a total of about, 2 days of work. You could easily do it yourself in a weekend or in one day if you had someone else helping you. And it was a lot of fun, and I think it ended up looking pretty great. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and otherwise I will see you later.